Hey, good afternoon. I see you, but you don't hear me. Right?
Okay.
Hey, I hear you. You can hear me?
And can you see me?
Yes, I can see you.
Finally, after all these years, we meet.
Yeah, it might be as close as I get for a while.
And you're in where?
I'm in Prescott, Arizona.
Prescott. Yeah, I knew it was Arizona. I wasn't sure.
Yeah, you
So did you
guys
get,
go ahead.
hey, did you get blizzarded there?
We got it about a week before you. We got 30 inches of snow in my yard,
Holy
but I'm
cow.
kind of the Lakeview man. I live in the woods outside of town. So,
You howled at the moon.
yeah, well, yeah. And my wife and daughters bang drums. I don't know. It's crazy. Anyway, let me
But you got a
get
nice
rolling here.
arsenal behind you there.
Huh?
You got a nice arsenal behind you there.
Yeah, I think I'm done. I think I'm done. Um, Due to my injuries, I can't play as much as I'd like, but I love guitars.
Yeah.
Anyway, let me do an intro real quick. Hey everyone, this is
Okay.
Dave Cottle with Music United Against Teen Bullying and Suicide. I'm here with one of my personal favorite songwriters and has been since the release of their first album in
86.
1984, 83,
86.
86.
86.
And and we're here to talk a little bit about what he's been doing during the pandemic and how musicians and people can try to stay active the best they can at this point when we're all homebound, particularly
Yeah.
with the winter storm. Hey, Bob,
Yeah.
welcome.
Yeah, well, nice to finally meet you face to face, David. We've corresponded for a number of years, and it's nice to finally see you.
No, thank you. It's nice to be seen.
Yeah.
um, so, where's my notes? I actually took notes for this one. Usually, I just wing it. So, tell our audience a bit about yourself. Who is
Uh,
Bob Walkenhorst?
well, I'm talking to you from Kansas City, and I've had a band called the Rainmakers that formed in 1985, and we've had a few breaks in our life, our career, but we continue to play, continue to make records over the last decade, and that has kind of been this interesting chapter of my life now is to find yourself in your 60s and you still have the hunger to make music and to make art. And pandemic and everything aside, just getting older in the arts field is a challenge, to stay inspired and stay active and to find ways to get your art out to an audience. And I've been real lucky in that my band kind of got in on the tail end of the big days of the music business and got in on the heydays of the CD sales and stuff. Transitioning into streaming has been really hard for all musicians, as far as the way it affects your income and it affects your kind of the way your relationship to your audience to some degree, in that the way people consume music has changed so much. People don't sit and listen to albums, which was kind of the format for when our band was first starting. But anyway, I've raised a family. I've got a couple of grown daughters and now a couple of granddaughters. So the work that your organization is doing, David, is something I can really relate to, in that my daughters certainly have gone through bullying, and particularly for girls, I know that bullying bleeds over into sexual harassment, and it all becomes a very blurry line there. So we've had in my family a lot of personal experience with that, and so I'm glad you asked me to be with you today because yeah, I can relate.
I'm glad you were able to make time to join us, Bob. Yeah, the I too have a daughter that's 20, almost 23, and one that will turn 18 next week. And
Wow.
yeah, they've gone through their share. And the younger one or the older one still struggles a bit. The younger one, it made her strong and independent. And she sort of decided, I don't need this crap. I don't need this from people. You know, I got other things I can do. I know who I am. It's made given her confidence.
Good.
And that's amazing. So um well, let's jump into that a little bit. You have two daughters. One I know performs, and you've done a few projects with her,
Yeah.
and that's the daughter I'm familiar with.
Mhm.
And so I don't want to bring the other one into the fold because she's not in the public life that I know of. But what's it been like helping nurture both your daughters and then helping nurture, how do you say it, Una?
Una. Hmm.
Una, how do you,
Um,
and
I think
getting her
for
music?
I came from a family of boys, so
Ah,
I have two brothers, and a younger brother and an older brother. So being a young woman coming of age, growing up coming of age, was something pretty foreign to me. And I grew up in a very small town, so my experience with the larger world was somewhat limited. So being a father of daughters certainly opened my eyes to a lot of things I had never had to deal with before. A lot of the scarier parts of life and
indeed.
growing up that are easy for guys, not as easy for. I mean, it was easy for me. Let's put it that way. I know there are a lot of males that are victims of bullying and sexual harassment just as well. But when you're dealing with your daughters and it's happening to them, it can't get more personal than that.
It breaks your heart.
It does. It breaks your heart. It makes you angry. It makes you scared of the world along with them. You talked about how it makes your daughter stronger. I can relate to that to some degree, but I also know of the pain and the lasting damage that bullying has done to both of my daughters.
Indeed.
There is a part of them that has made them resolved and strong, but there are very sensitive and damaged. I don't want to say damaged, that's a little harsh, but wary parts of their personality that makes trust hard for them because of what they've had to deal with in bullying and harassment situations. And now my daughter Una, who is 27,
Wow.
she's been working on a music career for about 10 years. She was a pretty, she started right off writing good songs. I had to write like 1,000 terrible songs before I kind of got a grip on it. She started right off writing good songs. But she is a much more, I think of us of a sensitive personality than I am. I actually have quite a, even though I work alone in the arts, I write songs, I paint pictures. There's a part of me that loves getting up on stage, loves interacting with an audience, loves playing the fool on stage, making people laugh in between these serious, sad songs.
I
uh,
can't wait to actually witness one in person.
yeah, the Rainmaker shows are pretty fun, really. But that part of having a music career has been harder for my daughter in that she is a more reserved person. And then she had really lined up her ducks, had written a lot of great songs, had recorded an EP, had was ready to take on the world, and then the pandemic happens. So that all, just like a million other musicians, it all came to a screeching halt for her.
Yeah.
And she realizes that she's not alone in this. But I certainly feel her pain, and I feel the pain of a father worrying about a daughter who wants to have a future in the music business, and how hard it is, and then how much harder it became with the pandemic. And then I think the music business will be one of the last things to recover. The live performing business will be one of the last
Yep.
things to come back as people get confident to go out in groups again. So as I said, I've been lucky in that my band has had a career for 30 plus years, so I can reshape and repurpose that through my Patreon audience. I continue to make new music every month. And then I just work on other projects. I wrote a book of short stories this past year. Uh, I actually went to school to be a painter, not all this crap. I went to school to be a visual artist, and so I still dabble in that. So I can stay busy, and I can also have contact with my audience.
That's nice. I know you've been painting for a while. You started, if I'm not mistaken, as a drummer, right? Like years
Yeah,
ago.
yeah. That
I,
actually was my original love, was being a drummer, and
how'd you become a front man?
well, because actually I'm I am a drummer slash singer. I think that being a vocalist is really my calling, and being a writer is even the calling beyond that. In that I that's the part that never fails to interest me, is creating something new, or taking my experiences and trying to turn them into something that becomes everyone's experiences, something that becomes a universal statement of some part of the human experience. So being a writer, you kind of want to be the person that sings it, and then you kind of want to be behind a set of drums if you have another option. And so I moved up to guitar. I'd always been a guitar player, and I still am a rudimentary guitar player. But that's been the combination that has became the Rainmakers, and that we found a much better drummer than me in my good friend Pat Tomic, and the rest is our tiny history.
Wow. Are you set up where you could play us a song?
Yeah, I can. I
Give us one if you don't mind.
use West. I'll try not to kick the camera while I do this.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
But I'm going to play a song about small town, which is, even though I've lived in Kansas City for 40 years, small towns are still in my foundation. I tend to write about that a lot. And this is an older song from the 90s, but it's about relationship brothers. It's called The View from the Tower. When we were youngsters, me and little brother slipped out the bedroom window, slide down that gutter. We made our way through the darkness, through the alleys and shortcuts, climbed that ladder up the water tower. We used to sit and dream them dreams of how our lives would be as we grew older, dreams of glory and power. Everything looked smaller and at the same time taller, stretched on forever, the view from the tower. Big river was rolling, 7-year flood flowing, winds were blowing, ice cold and snowing, boys grew into men then, right there and then, little brother headed one way, oh, and I went the other. Used to sit and dream them dreams of how our lives would be as we grew older, dreams of glory and power. Everything looked smaller and at the same time taller, stretched on forever, the view from the tower. All right. Little brother dug in deeper as my climb grew steeper. While he was building him a home, I built a tower of my own. We used to glimpse one another across the wide rolling river. We turned our gaze from each other, pretend we didn't remember how we used to dream them dreams of how our lives would be as we grew older, dreams of glory and power. Everything looked smaller and at the same time taller, stretched on forever, the view from the tower. All right now. I went down to the river, I found a note in a bottle. I read it there by the water. It said, I miss my brother. I went and got my hammer. I tore down my tower. I built a raft and a rudder. sail across river. I went and found my brother, his children and their mother. Now nevermore will I wander, and nevermore will I wonder. Now we sit and dream them dreams of how our lives will be as we grow older, in the glory and the power. Everything looks smaller and at the same time taller, stretched on forever. The view from the tower, oh, it stretches on forever. The view from the tower, yeah, stretches on forever. The view from the tower.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you. We had a couple
Yeah,
little
my
computer
pleasure.
glitches during that time, or connectivities, but I think we got it.
Was I overloading the mic?
Yeah. No, it should be good, I think.
Okay.
So I'm looking to see my notes here. What advice would you have for people that kind of are stuck at home right now and can't get out and perform with their audience? What do you do to keep that going? You know,
You know,
keep the fire.
the Facebook Live things, I know that lots of my musician friends do those. So I have a really piano virtuoso friend here in town who does it every single night. He plays a Facebook Live event every single night, or at least 5 nights a week.
Wow.
That has just kind of become part of his routine, and I don't think he cares really how many people are watching. It's good for him
Indeed.
to sit and do that, and he does have a nice loyal audience, not large, but you know they throw him a few bucks here and there. But I know that's not why he's doing it. He needs to play, and he needs to feel like people are hearing it. Um, like I said, I know I'm lucky in that I have an audience and I have these outlets and I have these other things I can do. I think for a lot of young musicians, it's quite a lot harder in that you haven't established you're right in the process of establishing your audience, and that process got put on hold. But it's a time to write. You know, it's a time to get that backlog of songs worked out, and that's about all you can do is say, well, my craft is this. I will sit and sing in my room for however long feels good each day. I mean, I think back when I was first playing guitar and singing, I think some of my favorite performances, there was nobody there but me. You know, where you feel so in contact with the music and with the tradition of music, that people have been playing music not just to share music, but to comfort yourself. So just keep playing. You know, get the guitar or piano or drums in your hands and play for yourself, because in the end, that's who you're playing for anyway.
That's true. You also paint. Have you been able to do some of that during this time? Or
Yeah, I have. As I said, I wrote this book of short stories, and that was a new experience for me. I had never written anything with the idea of it being a story. It was always been songs, which don't take near as long as stories. Let me tell you that. So my painting got pretty much put on hold this past in 2020 as I finished and published this book. But now, yeah, I've been trying to do a few watercolors, get back in practice. You know, it's kind of like guitar. You have to practice. You have to stay in shape. So I'm getting my painting chops back. And winter's a good time to do that.
yeah, I know. Tell us a bit about your Patreon and how that works, because I've been a subscriber. Now I should be getting a piece of art here pretty soon, but I know we've
I'm
had
going
some.
down my list.
I know we've had some glitches in credit cards and stuff, but anyway, tell us about what you're doing there, because I think it's very cool and it's probably good for you.
Well, if your listeners are not your viewers are not familiar with Patreon, it's been around for 8 or 9 years. It's been around a while, and basically, it's a subscription service directly between the audience members and the artist, in that you subscribe through this service that bills your credit card every month, um, and pays that money, minus a small processing fee to the artist. And I know a few people who have been doing it longer than me, not very many, and I've only been doing it a little over a year. I know a couple of people that have been doing it 6 or 8 years, and it becomes the most direct way that people can support an artist who some has meant something to them, who feels like has worked for them, and they want to keep that artist going. So it's very easy. It's Patreon, Patreon.com. And then you look up the artist you want to support, or in my case, it's bobwalkenhorst.com, and then there's a link on there that takes you to Patreon. And different artists set it up different ways. I come from the old hourly wage school of thought, where I want people to feel like if they're going to be generous enough to let me bill their credit card every month, that by God, Bob ought to do something for me every month. So I do a song every month, and finished studio recording here in my luxurious studio, and then I do a video for it too. And part of that is just again something to keep me busy. But I like the fact that the people who are being supportive to me know they're going to get something every month from me. Not every artist does it that way. That's not comfortable for everyone, and that's not uh, doesn't not everyone has the technology expertise or knowledge to do that. So everyone handles it a different way. But that is what has worked for me, and because I've been playing for 40 years, I had a very healthy number of people want to support me that way, and I'm grateful for them every single day.
All right. And I know at the end of the
And
year,
you're one of them, buddy.
well, thank you. I know at the end of the year, you give a gift, and and the gift is determined by, the subscription you sign up for. And I think that's very cool. It's like an added bonus, to stick around.
Well, and that's the way most artists do this. You have tiers. And so, like for my bottom tier, $5 a month, you get a new song. And that's the only place that song is available for an extended period of time, for a year to year and a half.
And
That
it's
that's the only
totally worth
place.
it.
Well, thank you. See, right there. There's a satisfied customer, folks. Uh, but that's the idea, is that um, then if you want to have your monthly amount higher than that, well, in my case, you can get an art print, or you can get an original painting, or at the top of the layer, top tier, I'll come to your house and play for a concert. So
Yeah, I don't
there's all
have that
these.
much money.
uh, that's the way most artists structure their Patreon, is that for differing amounts that a subscriber can afford to spend, there's different things that the artist will provide.
Bob, I'm trying to keep you at your 30 minutes you were hoping to. I know we're already beyond that with the
Well, that's all right.
technical
The thing is,
difficulties.
David, I kind of put that limit on there for your benefit more than mine, in that I like to talk and I like to visit. And once I kind of get into stories about music and art, it's hard to shut me up. So I was really
Yeah.
trying to honor your time as much as mine.
Well, I'm noticing that we're getting a little low already. It goes fast. Do real briefly, I guess, and then I guess you'll sing us out, and then it'll cut us off if we run out of time. Um, what advice do you have for young songwriters starting out?
Young songwriters write a lot of songs. It's a quantity kind of thing, and with every song you write, you'll learn something that then you use the next time you write a song. Like I said, my daughter was a little bit unusual in that she started right off writing really good songs. But most writers, it's a craft, and You have to make you have to make mistakes, and you have to learn from your mistakes. You have to look back on songs and say, "Oh, I see why that is not effective. I see why that's not so good, or I see why that sounds like someone else's song. I've ripped someone off." So yeah, it's a quantity thing. Just write a lot, and if you are the type of personality that can set requirements for yourself, say, I'm going to write a song every month or every week or whatever fits you, but set some expectations for yourself. I've also found that works for me with paintings too. You book a show that you're going to hang up your paintings in October. along about August, you're like, oh my God, I got to get on the ball. I got to hang up. I got a bunch of paintings due. So deadlines can, whether self-imposed or gallery imposed or release imposed, can actually, for some people, for a lot of people, be a good incentive to get things done.
Nice. Well, I see we have maybe 6 to 7 minutes left at the most. Um, so I've noticed that you don't necessarily write love songs. You write about relationships to like all sorts of things. And
That's an interesting way to put it. I kind of like that.
well, it is. And I noticed an old interview that said, where you once said, you don't write love songs, Paul McCartney wrote yesterday. You know, there's no need. Um, anyway, I'll shut up and sing us out, my friend.
Okay, I'm actually going to sing a song. It's the other one you requested. This one I just thought was more. I know that your organization raises funds for a service to teenagers that they really need. And I've always, at the point that I realized that my music had a place in the world where it can accomplish more than just make people dance. It can actually make people think and motivate people. I started trying to always make that part of what I address. And so this is an old song that is about the idea of putting your efforts into something that makes a difference out in the world. And in this case, funding. And in a lot of the work done, it's the ability for the music community to fund other things in the world. This is called Spend It on Love. Hear tell of a man who took $100, spent it on lottery tickets and beer, won a couple million, left his wife and children, lived himself to death in a couple of years. He should have spent it on love, spent it on his children, spent it on the ones who need it the most. Take your little bundle, put her in a basket, leave her on the doorstep of the future, her home. I hear of an army taking lots of money, spending it on guns and rolls of barbed wire. They blew it all away. They're homeless and they're hungry. Had to bite the bullet, taste the bloody war. Spend it on love, spend it on the children, spend it on the ones who need it the most. Take a little bundle, put her in a basket, leave her on the doorstep of the future, her home, all right. Johnny in the belly of a billionaire, he was swallowed by the music he played. Gonna have to ride that camel through the eye of a phonograph needle someday. I hear of a country where they say the cities all have pretty streets paved with gold. Well, they may not be gold, but they were built by people paying heavy taxes for a dream they still spend it on love, spend it on the children, spend it on the ones who need it the most. You got to take a little bundle, put her in a basket, leave her on the doorstep of the future, her home. Spend it on love, spend it on the children, spend it on the ones who need it the most. You got to take your little bundle, put her in a basket, leave her on the doorstep of the future, her home, all right.
Hey, we made it. One
Hey, we
minute to
made it.
spare. 1 minute
Thanks
to
for having
spare.
me on. This has been a pleasure.
Oh, thank you. We appreciate it, and appreciate the advice you've given to people, our young songwriters. And I know you're a bit of a philanthropist in your community. You like to
In my
help.
tiny my tiny way.
Yeah, we all do what we can,
Yeah.
and that's a good thing. Anyway, this is Dave with Music United with Bob Walkenhorst, with the Rainmakers and solo artist and painter and father and all that good stuff. And
Thanks a lot,
Bob,
David. I'm humbled.
hey, thank you. I'm going to send you a message a little bit later, but
Okay.
take care, my friends. Stay warm.
Okay. You too. Bye bye.
Okay, bye bye. Now to turn it off. Yay.